Mitch. No se te escucha.
Tu micrófono está apagado.
I'm not supposed to.
Let's see what this year brings.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WBC Talks. Stay home, stay safe. This time is round number 16. I never heard about a fight in 16 rounds, at least 100 years ago, but this is round 16 in It's Amateur, and we have wonderful people joining us, and they're going to explain everything about amateur boxing. But first, I want to introduce 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗. She's the director for the WBC University. 𝗧𝗔, welcome.
Thank you, Victor. Hi to everybody. It's very nice to join you in these panels at these WBC Talks. And since this week, we are starting all the panels with a small reflection, a positive thought that will help us go through this confinement. So today I want to share a little point of view, and it's how to maintain your maximum level of performance without training or competing. This goes focused to the athletes. And what does it mean to have a win in mind? Well, a win in mind is about seeing how can I use confinement as an opportunity to be a winner. And what does it mean to have mental strength? That is what we mostly need right now during this confinement. Well, it's the ability to achieve the highest rank of your talent in any circumstances, including the adverse one. And to compare this reflection, I have a small story, and it's about an American golf player that was a prisoner in the Vietnam War. He was a prisoner there for 1 year. And when he came back to the States, his teammates appreciate that his game was still very, very good. And everybody was surprised about his abilities because he was being locked down for more than 1 year. So he confessed to his friends that during the captivity, he played every day 18 holes in different fields, and that he used his imagination to do this by visualizing each course, each hole, and feeling how each blow with the greatest possible reality. So he made playing golf a real thing in his mind. So that it's a way that our body connects in hypothetical situation with our mind. The body and the mind are connected. And that is connected also with an attitude, with a positive attitude. There are two types, if we want, there are many, but today I'm just going to talk about two types of attitude. One is, for example, the attitude of a dog. And what is that? Well, it's the people that face problems and always see problems towards their goals. They don't want to see a real goal. They only focus on the problem. Why I cannot do things. And the other one is the attitude of an eagle. An eagle has the attitude of a winning mind. They see the global vision. They have clear in their goals. They always find positive solutions to every problem. So the invitation today is to be a winner, to find solutions for every problem, and don't find problems. Okay, so let's be eagles and let's enjoy this panel. Thank you very much, and let's enjoy this talk today. Thank you, Victor. Hi, Jill, Pepe, and everybody.
Thank you, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗.
Thank you.
First, I want to show a video that has a lot of pictures that you're gonna love. Please roll the video. Is the video ready?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And Jill, before I let you go with this round, I just want to show you a picture. Please put the picture that for me shows what amateur boxing is about. I just wanted to have you in mind that. Can we see the picture, please? This is the picture.
That's right.
This is what amateur boxing is about. We're creating champions of life, not just in boxing. Jill, please go ahead.
Don't leave though, Victor. You're here with me.
Of course. And Maurice
So
is here.
amateur boxing, there is nothing like the excitement and the passion and all the things that the young people learn. In many cases, the gym is the home, the coach is their parent, and their teammates become their family. We love it. Unfortunately, there is no metrics to prove good behavior, to show that how many children have put down their problems, their guns, their knives, and put on gloves instead. We know this because we see how their lives are changing and how children respond when an adult coach takes them seriously and perhaps gives them the only real encouragement, serious attention that they get in their lives. And the sacrifices these coaches and these families and these kids make with the traveling, the money they spent, the hopes they invest. Yet there are very few schools that actually give boxing scholarships, and many, many misconceptions about the place that boxing has in young people's lives. We want to address some of these issues with this incredible panel. And of course, we will also discuss the Olympics. So I want to start actually with Mauricio. Hello, Mauricio.
Hello,
Good
Jill.
to see you.
Thank you. Long time no see.
Long time no see. I miss you so much.
I just had another video conference. That's why I came in late. And I learned something very nice, and we're going to do it starting right now, okay? So we're going to hug each other. So just go close to your camera and give a hug to each other. Come on. I want to feel you. Okay, nice, nice, nice.
We can also do the wave if you want.
Please.
We can do the wave.
I'm so happy. You want to do the wave? Go ahead.
We can do the wave. Starting with you, Mauricio. Nancy.
The wave.
I'm so happy to see you all. It's very gratifying to see your faces, to hear your voices. We are far away, but now we're very close to each other. And these WBC talks have that intention to to have the boxing community work, be close, dream, plan together, and have an entertaining time and get our minds busy. So, Bert, very happy to see you, my friend. Very honored for the dedication you have given to the sport. And the WBC is very, very happy and proud to have been part of the recent history of Bert Boxing, Bert Wells. Pat,
Thank you.
all the way to Canada, USA Boxing with Tyson Lee, and the Greenbelt Challenge with Pepe and Nancy, and Malte, who has been very supportive of the amateur program in.
Yes, you are.
I'm sorry? And Malte, who has been a great supporter of the program in Europe. We will talk about what is happening with the amateur. I just want to give a very small briefing on the WBC involvement in amateur program.
You just answered my first question.
Which?
My first question is WBC. Why did we get involved in the amateurs? Can you take us up to date?
Absolutely. The WBC has been heavily involved in amateur boxing since the beginning. Why? Because amateur is a foundation of professional, and it is where boxing is born, in the amateurs. So we have had relationship since 1963. I remember my father sponsoring teams to go to fight at Madison Square Garden, or Mexican teams going to other countries, Romania coming to Mexico. It has always been a very supportive role of the WBC to amateur boxing. What happened? AIBA, last 12, 14 years, took a different path, and they changed amateur boxing. They tried to enter professional and break all those traditions. But the problem was that it was money-oriented, business-oriented, putting aside the sport, putting aside the most important thing, which is the boxer. The WBC and my father personally got in the ring with AIBA head-to-head for many years to battle that abuse of power, that injustice, and that horrible variety of actions which hurt amateur boxing very, very much. Well, today, AIBA is no longer the representation of amateur boxing for the IOC. It might change, we don't know, but if it changes, it's going to be a new administration of AIBA. Has nothing that concerns the WBC or us. So when this latest development became so strong, the WBC started to create a world platform to support directly and formally and openly amateur boxing. That's how we started many programs in Spain, in Romania, in Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, Panama, Nicaragua, the United States, Mexico, Canada, etc. So this is how we stand today, with a very important world network of individuals and boxing clubs, national authorities, and it's just very gratifying to see how the amateur world is so united, because we all share, all who are here in this conference, we all share our care for the fighter, which is the only thing that should matter for boxing.
Absolutely. So I want to take this back just a bit, because a lot of the people who watch this are involved with professional boxing. So Pat, could you just simply tell us what is the difference between amateur and professional boxing in terms of the basic rules?
Thanks for having me, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity. The difference is really simple. One is a business. As you know, professional boxing is a business, and amateur boxing is sport. I think that these young athletes, they don't get paid like professionals do. And one day, they're in that ring to be able to either become a professional boxer or to make their dream come true or become a champion or simply just to be safe. The rules, we have a very simple scoring system. Unfortunately, some of the judges make it more difficult than it needs to be. It is very simple. 3 criteria. First criteria, the number of blows, quality blows on the target area, which is very similar to pro boxing and the body above the waistline. That's the first criteria. Second is competitiveness. How competitive is this boxer? May have lost the first round, may come back hard in the second round. Those aspects are looked at. The third criteria is tactic and technique. The ability of this boxer to throw a good jab, the ability of this boxer to go to the body, those combination of punches. There's no extra points for a knockdown or anything like that. It's a 10-point plus rule, just like professionals. And, I agree with Mauricio. The big mistake Aiba made was attempting to go in competition with the professional boxing business. But one good thing came out of it, and that was the scoring system. The ability to have a scoring system similar to the pros, so there's a much easier transition from amateur boxing to professional boxing for our athletes. But the scoring system is probably the biggest difference. The amount of rounds, the training, weigh-ins for athlete amateur boxing today, the competition for professional boxing, the weigh-in is the day before. And of course, the age restrictions as far as our juniors, our youth boxers, and our senior/.
Thank you. So what about the rule that they made recently about having pros in the Olympics? Are they going to still stay with that? I mean, can we address that? I mean, firstly, on the fun level, somebody tell us, who are some of the great champions that came out of the Olympics? I'd love to hear that. Come on.
Oscar.
Evander Holyfield.
Nancy?
Floyd Mayweather.
Muhammad Ali.
Evander Holyfield.
Jose
Sugar
Ramirez.
Lennox Lewis.
Sugar Ray Leonard.
So many. And of course,
Oscar
we
de
wouldn't
la
want to,
Hoya.
Clarissa Shields.
we wouldn't want to
Clarissa.
see
Power of Woman.
Power of Woman.
George Foreman.
George Foreman.
George Foreman.
Mexico.
Yeah, it's been an amazing platform
Taylor.
for a lot of people.
Sting.
And given what's happening with the Olympic now and and the change of date and how many of these young athletes do you think are going to turn pro and not wait for next year? And what do you think that means to their careers?
It's funny.
It's really
It's funny.
great. Go ahead.
Mike?
That's something that we were dealing with
Nice.
with USA Boxing. That was one of our concerns, and I was just talking to our executive director, Mike McAtee, this morning, and so far everyone's staying, and that's because some of their you might have one or two make an emotional decision, but for the most part, it looks like our athletes are staying, and a lot of that had to do with some of their buddies that are pros that told them, look, we're not boxing right now anyway. So they said, it's almost like a pause for everyone. So, it would behoove them to stay and attempt to go and get that gold medal or medal next year, and then move on from there, because it's really stopped everyone. It's not like they're missing anything right now.
Bert, how many boxers do you think come through your tournament in a year?
Anywhere from 2,000, 2,500 to we're averaging about 2,500 for the year. Each tournament, it varies depending on where the location is.
And where are they coming from?
They're coming from all over not only all over the U.S., but also from outside of the U.S. So we get them from Virgin Islands, we get them from Finland, we get them from Nigeria, we get them, boxers from Bahamas, from Puerto Rico, from Mexico. They come from everywhere. They're coming from everywhere.
And they must be very upset about what's going on now. What is the feeling you're getting from these young boxers? What are they saying to you about I know you had a huge tournament planned for June. So
Yeah.
What is the feeling among the young people?
Well, I think most of them are, you know, they've accepted the fact that, hey, this COVID-19 is very serious. It's affecting, you know, people, you know, family members and, you know, boxers all around the country and all around the world for that perspective. And, you know, I think most of them are now just trying to prepare at home, or, you know, or whether they have the opportunity to be outside, to get outside and prepare. But I think all of them are just excited now to take some time and just prepare for what they're going to be able to do once this thing opens back up.
And Malti, what is it like where you are?
Well, you know, we had this qualifying tournament for the Olympic Games in London, which then happened to develop into some sort of super spreader, because they had people actually infected and positive with the virus. So people went home being sick, and just shows that, you know, the path the IOC is going right now, or has been going with boxing, to me is just not the right way, because they just they were anxious to get this done so much that they were risking the health and the lives of their athletes. And we asked our German athletes, what did you think? Why did you go there? I mean, it was March 14th. Everybody knew what was going on by that time. And they said, well, we were in the zone. You know, we go to tournament, you want to fight, you want to win. And I can't blame the young kids, can't blame the fighters, I mean, the trainers, but more important, all the officials, they should have just said no and stopped this. And I think that was just a terrible experience for the people who were there and came home and came home sick, some of them. So that's a very difficult situation that we have over here in Europe and dealing with right now. Apart from that, I think everybody understands that the Olympics cannot take place this year. Let's hope that they can actually take place next year, because who knows how long this is going to take. We just had another announcement by our government today, saying that they will prolong all the measurements, and that they will that we will have to wait at least until the end of August for any kind of event to take place. And some experts say that there will be no boxing events in this year in Germany, and probably not all over Europe. So it will be a very difficult time, and I think we have to realize that it may stay like this for a longer time than we expect.
And of course, it affects the age categories and the matches drastically. So that's something to think about too.
I want to intervene. I want to intervene a little bit. Malte, you just heard that, okay? So you must have a very complicated feeling right now. You gotta address it right now, and you can do that. When you identify what creates anxiety, you have to stop doing it. If you hear the news, if you listen to news, if you read, if you call people who say negative things, eliminate that from going into your head. Nobody can say it's gonna be August, September, May. Don't worry about it. Worry about the next 10 days or 2 weeks.
That's true.
Please.
People are out there looking for solutions. That is for sure. It's very active.
Please, let's not get in that set of mind, because it's very complicated and depressing.
Yep.
Let's just do what we can control. We cannot find the solution for oil prices. We cannot find the vaccine. We cannot control the economy. Let's control what we can do, but don't get your mind anxious.
It's just what we are all dealing with, and what all the athletes are dealing with right now is just this big state of insecurity, and they just, you know, nobody knows, and that's just the situation we're in right now. And I just want to give you an update of what's happening over here in Germany and what people are dealing with, and they're dealing with the feeling and that anxiety and not knowing what will happen now, tomorrow, in 10 days, who knows. You're right.
Jill, may I intervene just a little bit on your question about professionals in the Olympics?
Absolutely.
Okay, these are not the rules set by the IOC. The IOC expelled AIBA, but they kept the rules for the sport because they did not want to intervene in changing rules. So they just left as it was. Why do we are so strong against professionals in amateur? It's very simple. Every single jurisdiction in professional boxing, regardless where you are, in California, New York, Mexico, Thailand, France, any jurisdiction, when a promoter proposes a fight, they take fighter A and they take fighter B. These two fighters have to be of equal ability and criteria. Equal ability. There is no criteria as it is read in the rules right now. They have a absolute disregard of the quality. They just say it doesn't matter if you're professional or amateur, you can compete. So if you go to a fight and you have a 4-rounder, in any jurisdiction, that 4-rounder has to compete against a 4-rounder. You cannot have a 4-round fight fighting against a 10-rounder or against a champion. So that is the principle why we are opposing until there is a definition of what is the criteria of qualification. Until there's that, we simply reject it. How can you have a Tyson Fury go and fight an amateur fighter? It's impossible. We do not accept.
I totally agree. It adds to the misconception of the brutality of the sport because of that whole concept of it. I mean, we're trying to put this in schools. In fact, I have a conversation today with the New York school system. They're all online, and I give this suggestion to everyone, and they are willing to look at boxing and exercise class going into the classroom. Putting unequal matches in the Olympics for amateurs is detrimental to the entire spirit of the sport. But I want to talk about something good right now. Let's talk about something good. When we first started out years ago with the WBC and amateurs, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗 brought out this whole thing of let's do an amateur committee, let's do an amateur committee. And we did, and there were a lot of obstacles, and he disappeared, and Nancy and Pepe took it over. And it has become the green belt, and it has become like the jewel of the WBC amateur. There are bigger tournaments, there are other tournaments, but this is our first baby and very, very special. Nancy, what was that like, taking over that and dealing with the obstacles you did? And most important, what was it like the first time you put a medal on a young boxer's neck?
Well, first of all, the idea did come from Rudy, but it was a meeting that Rudy and I had with one of our great champions, 𝗧𝗟𝗡𝗗𝗡. 𝗧𝗟𝗡𝗗𝗡 actually won an amateur tournament in Mexico. It was called, help me, Mauricio, Torneo de Oro. So it was Israel's idea that, with Rudy, we just started talking about it. What if we do something like what Israel won in Mexico, but in the US? Obviously, I didn't know Mauricio at the time. I didn't even know who he was or you were. And then, yeah, it faded away. And then one day, Israel invited me to breakfast where I thank God, that I met Mauricio. This is where my career started with the WBC. But that really was our baby. And then a year later, the idea came again to when I met Pepe, and he loved it because Pepe loves kids. He just loves doing things. This belt here means so much to those kids.
Absolutely.
It means so much. Their eyes light up. It's amazing. Amateur boxing is where dreams begin. And it's our responsibility at the WBC to help them, to encourage them, and be there for them. So when Mauricio said, okay, he said, let's go ahead with the idea, Pepe and I did it. We never expected the hundreds of people that were going to show up. We were like, what if nobody shows up? Remember, Pepe? We're like, what if nobody comes? And then hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people came. and it was amazing. I remember the first time when it was over, I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I still cry after every tournament. I'm not.
Oh, Nancy, you always cry.
No, because it's so emotional. But the first time, I didn't put a medal on anyone until like the last day, because we give that honor to the champions, to the fighters that take time out of their day to come and support. It's really important to bring fighters to these shows because it's inspirational to the kids. And we usually, when we run out of people, that's when Pepe and I start running up and down. But I don't think anybody, the feeling of putting a medal on a kid and their face, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Beautiful feeling.
Well, I mean,
So
if I may,
Pepe, you grew up in a boxing family.
Let Tyson talk.
Let Tyson
Put in
talk.
here.
Well, I
Talk,
just wanted
Tyson,
to-
please. I don't want to mess with you.
well, no, I just wanted to echo that because I've had the privilege of attending a couple of the WBC Greenbelt events, and one in Chicago and one in Arizona. I got to talk to the kids out in Los Angeles, and I'll tell you, the events are first class, and we're really looking at incorporating, the WBC even more with USA Boxing here at the national level, because you do such a great job. And she was telling the truth. They love those belts. I'm gonna tell you. So
they do love those.
From the U.S. I want to tell you.
I
how
saw
much we
you
appreciate
taking
what
pictures with
what
that
you're
belt,
doing.
Tyson. Come on, I saw those pictures.
No, and Jill, if I may, it's something that our LA office, we're so grateful to the LBC here, 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗, Delilah, everybody that helps, because we really work as a team. Everybody takes their role, goes with it. Nobody's stepping on everybody's toes. I think that's why it's so successful, because everybody does what they have to do and respects each other's positions.
And that's one thing about amateur too, is that everyone comes together like a team. They really do. It's a community.
Right.
Can I just add one point to that? It's a very important point. And that is having the professional boxers at the amateur events. That is the one thing that I think there needs to be more. There's a disconnect between boxer becoming a professional, totally taking away their participation at the amateur level. It's almost like we want to cut it off. That's got to stop. What the WBC is doing by inviting professional boxers to these amateur tournaments and having them exposed to these young amateurs, and the amateurs looking up to these pros, that's only going to help our sport even more. So I got to commend the WBC and Nancy and Becky for making sure that those pros get invited to these amateur shows. Very, very good.
Well,
And I think
you're doing the breakout sessions too, Brett, right? Or you're doing the breakout sessions with your stuff. Please talk about that.
Yeah, well, when you basically you get the professionals that you got to reach out to them, have good relationships with them. We were blessed to have Evander Holyfield, Mark Breland, Pernell Whitaker, Riddick Bowe. We've had so many, Julian Jackson. I know I'm going to forget some people, because we've had so many professional boxers that have come through and support and gave back, whether they were coaching a boxer and bringing them in, or whether they were the parents of a boxer coming in. Evander came to, probably he's been to about 7 or 8 of our events over the course of the last 2 years. But doing the breakout sessions with these professional boxers and allowing them to talk to the amateur boxers, and the amateur boxers ask them questions, that's big. I mean, me as a former amateur boxer, coming up through Fort Lauderdale, being able to go to the 5th Street gym, seeing Sugar Ray Leonard train, being able to train there with some of the greats, that's what drives you. You're able to now be driven by seeing that, that inspiration of what it could possibly be for you if you put that hard work in. So doing the breakout sessions and doing the sessions where you allow the professional boxers to come in and give a word or two to these amateur boxers, or let them ask questions, I mean, it's tremendous. And you see their eyes light up, because it also allows them to see, that this person can be, you can touch him, you can feel him. Paulie Malignaggi came in and commentated last year, one of our events down in Kissimmee, Florida, and you could just, all their eyes just lit up. I mean, they were excited to be able to talk to Paulie and him tell them, hey, stay focused, stay training, stay in the gym. So it's great to be able to do that.
And you're also going to be doing the breakout sessions with Mauricio on the health task force.
That's correct.
That I find really important with the education that's going to be given to these young boxers about taking care of their health, their nutrition, and everything like that, hand wrapping,
Well,
dehydration.
I think it's important. We've had some deaths that have occurred over boxing in regards to dehydration. And I think, you know, some of the older ways of, you know, I'm 53. I come from somewhat of an older school generation of the coaches that trained me. And now you've got a lot more new technology and things that are in place. You've got meal prep and all that kind of stuff that boxers and parents and coaches need to be made aware of if they're not aware of it, and how to get to that, you know. So doing breakout sessions where you're talking about how to hydrate up, what's the proper way to hydrate up, what's the proper way to lose weight, you know, and not just put on a sauna suit, go to the gym and lose 10 pounds in one day. What's the proper way to do that? So I think a lot of education can be done across, and that's what we're wanting. That's our focus for 2020, is to bring a lot more education involved into these breakout sessions for the boxers, talking about hand wraps, talking about hydration and dehydration, meal prep, things of that nature. So we're really looking forward to it because it's an educational process, and it helps if we reach one boxer and teach someone something different that they may not know. It's going to help save lives, and that's important.
Great. So Pepe, I have a question for you, because despite the family that you came from, we know you were not brought up a boxing guy, but you got into it. We grabbed you and we got you and we love you. What is it that keeps you there? What is it that thrills you the most about the amateurs?
When I was, thanks to my parents, I went to high school in New England, and we have family there in Fall River, Massachusetts. And I used to hear my uncles say that they wanted to see college sports much more than professional basketball, football. I didn't really understand what they were talking about until we got to our first Green Belt Challenge. And I saw what they really meant by saying that kids go there to fight for the right reason.
Yes.
You know, they're not looking for fame. They're not looking for money, for contracts, anything, for nothing. They're just doing it for the sport. And that is so important. I mean, that is the roots. That is the base. That is where everything starts. So we have been trying, and Nancy, Cecilia, my wife, and I at the WBC office in Los Angeles, we have been trying to implement a few things, educational things, because
Beautiful.
As we always say in the WBC, we like to be with them before, during, and after the years as boxers. And it is very important that they learn what they will be facing after their amateur years. But in their amateur years, they are really, we have seen very nice, very inspirational stories, we have seen how families really get together, not just for their own kid, but for others. You know,
Community. It's about community.
You see their families go just with their champion. Here is different. Here is a family event. Here is it's very, very important to live, to go to an amateur show or tournament, to really live, you know, what goes on with the kids, how they prepare, how they, you know, how they, professionals, they have to make weight for one fight. And amateurs, they have to keep that weight for 2, 3, 4 days.
Yes.
And they have, you know, many obstacles, many things that makes them challenge them, you know, to keep up and to keep the spirits up. But it is and taking all this to the WBC is the right reason. At the WBC, my father, all the executive committee, Mauricio, and now us, we're trying to do things for the right reason, for fairness, for equality, for giving them, everybody, their chance, their opportunity. Everybody, everyone is important.
It's great, Pepe.
My father used to say to every champion or every boxer, not just champions, that they were their sons, that they were their kids. So it's an attitude that we have adopted from my father. He used to say, when you are in front of a boxer, your whole attention has to go to him. And that's what we have done. We have
That's great.
really done everything we can.
Let me tell you what Pepe is. Pepe is the oldest of the Sulaimans. And when he goes to Las Vegas, instead of going to the great fight where all the celebrities and Mike Tyson and De La Hoya and this, he goes to the movies.
But he also videos the fighters and gets their stories on video. Come on.
All this came after the Greenbelt Challenge.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I don't want to dominate this with WBC, but I have to bring up my very, very favorite tournament or show that we do, because I think it's a model, a role model for every tournament, which is the Two Nations, One Dream. The first time I went to Two Nations, One Dream, which was Chicago versus Mexico, these kids were put in a program for every weekend. Their school grades had to be up. They were given lectures, and part of their training was they had to do things like feed the homeless, wrap gifts and wrap food up for people overseas. Two Nations, One Dream was my absolute, I literally cried. I could not believe this program. Is Michelle on here, or can someone speak a little bit about Two Nations, One Dream and why that program isn't all over the world? I mean, it's an amazing program.
Very quickly, it was a program which was put together with it was a binational. It was Chicago, Mexico City, and Acapulco. We did a 3-month program in Chicago, in Acapulco, and Mexico, which was very, very special. You were part of it. Champions went and visited them. They talked to them. They had training. And at the end, there was a tournament in Mexico City where the Chicago fighters came in and fought against the Mexicans. It was a tremendous success. And for the kids, the Mexico City kids, they went to fight in Acapulco. So we had a bus that took them and their families, and to our surprise and great satisfaction, most of them had never seen the water. They had never seen in a beach. So it was a life-changing event. It was very beautiful. And that's what amateur boxing can do.
Amateur boxing is so much about the responsibility to the community. I mean, it's again, as everyone said, it's for the spirit. It's the spirit of boxing. It's not about the money. Very few break out and become professionals. This is just one of the most pure and authentic forms of sports. Pat, you have officiated at the Olympics. Can you give us some information about it? What was that like?
Well, it was obviously anytime you get selected to the Olympic Games official, it's an honor. 2004, it was referee and judge in Athens. And I got lots of stories to tell about the corruption side of it. I don't need to talk about that, but I think that the experience for an athlete at the Olympic Games is like no other. And the pressure representing your country. There's two things that happen to an athlete, to a coach, and to a referee and judge or official. They either perform at their best because they were able to get there, or they are so overwhelmed with the pressure that they lose everything. They perform their worst, they were expected to win a medal, they don't. That's just the pressure of the Olympic Games. I don't mean to speak negatively of the Olympic Games. I was fortunate also to be in London in 2012. We had the opportunity to see Clarissa Shields and Katie Taylor take the world over with female boxing. It was wonderful, wonderful experience. But unfortunately, I think the shine that once was on the Olympic Games is starting to dull a little bit. I'm concerned about the corruption that's involved. It is all about money, more than money than ever before. We've seen that as as we heard from Malte in regards to why we're is canceled, just like the Americans qualifiers were canceled for the athletes were able to get there. But the Olympic Games, again, I think it's everyone's goal to get there. But I will tell you that not all the best athletes, the best boxers in the world get to the Olympic Games. There's the qualifiers that are involved, those types of things. I think, frankly, we see the best boxers, amateur boxers, at the World Championships. That's where the best. There's more qualifying spots available. As a matter of fact, we eliminated any qualifiers. You're able to send a full team, male and female, to the World Championships. That's where you see the best boxing. Unfortunately, it doesn't get the same attention that the Olympic Games gets because of, of course, team goods.
Well, in show business, there was always the Oscars. Now there's the Screen Actors Award and the Golden Globe Award, and they all have something. It doesn't only have to be one huge apex to get to. I mean, there's so many miles to go. Mike, I don't know what I keep calling you. Tyson, tell me about the gala. We all went to, Pepe and I went to that gala. We had a really great time there.
The gala.
The alumni gala for the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
How many galas have you been to with us?
You mean,
how did that come about?
The alumni event? Well, I mean, it came through with the previous administration started. I think John and Al and all of them started putting that together, and then 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗, a young guy, a young volunteer, he organized it, and he's still working there now. And now, he was able to put his team together, reach out and get those champions and coaches to come speak, and we were able to even award 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗 a posthumous award for what he's done, and that was a wonderful time. I think it brought a bunch of people together, and a lot of folks got an opportunity to speak, and people got a chance to interact with former champions and legendary coaches that they have never had an opportunity, or that they would have never had an opportunity to meet with, and it was an exciting time for me as well. And I appreciate you guys making the trip and showing up, and because that had a lot to that brought a lot to the table for us as well, to have the WBC there, mingling with everyone. I heard them all talking, and I'm just telling you, it was a great time, and I'm glad you were able to come.
We had a great time there. Thank you, Tyson. So how do we make it better, fairer, bigger? What do we do at a time when people are so concerned about the small things in life? We have to have a plan. What do we do? What are the next steps? What is the future of amateur boxing? Anyone? Don't be shy.
Well, let me talk a little. Can I talk a little bit about
you can talk about anything you want, Bert.
Well, from a perspective of why 𝗥𝗢𝗡 boxing got involved in amateur boxing, coming up through the ranks of amateur boxing and seeing how, when you look at high schools and colleges and you see how it developed and how it has matured, you've got McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and all of these companies now that support these programs. And I just feel like from a perspective of that is one of the major things that needs to happen in amateur boxing. There's not a lot of major companies from a standpoint that helps these grassroots gyms or help these grassroots boxers as they're going along, just like they would a high school player or a football player in high school or college or so forth. And I think that's a major opportunity for us to really grow going into, these, once this thing opens back up. I think there's so many opportunities that are out here that we're able to bring to the table, or hopefully be able to attract other companies to get involved with amateur boxing. And so I think that's one of the major things that we wanted to do. There's 3 tiers that we wanted to do. One was bringing in national companies to get involved in amateur boxing that helps, whether they give funds to the 501c program that we are part, 𝗥𝗢𝗡𝗏 International Sports Foundation, or whether they do it with USA Boxing, because we directly are, you know, a part of USA Boxing. So we work directly with USA Boxing. And then the other was, how do we get more networks involved from a media standpoint, and from television, things of that nature, you know, press releases, getting more media at these shows and getting them more involved in these tournaments that are going on around the country. And then the third thing is, I think, just bringing that awareness and everything, and more visibility to the amateur boxing program across all the different platforms in the communities. I think those are the things that, you know, for going into the future, major things that we've got to help get going, and make sure that we move those needles a lot further than they've been moved in the past.
There's another important thing that needs to happen as well, and that is, if we indeed want amateur boxing to get the profile that it so rightfully deserves, you know, if you talk to someone and ask them to like to go to a professional boxing show or an amateur boxing show, they're going to say, we want to go to the professional show. And that's just the nature of it. It's professional boxing. I think there's a much better opportunity. We're going to have to work with the different athletic commissions, boxing commissions on this one. I think that on every professional boxing show, there should be 3 or 4 amateur bouts, good amateur bouts, so that these young athletes get the proper recognition they deserve. They're going to get it at the pro shows. I know for a fact, and I think Mauricio, you would agree with me, that you could put on 100 yard or good amateur bouts that would be far better than some of the 4-rounders we see. That's not, I'm not trying to talk down on that. I'm just saying that kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Give these young amateur boxers the exposure they deserve on a pro show, and on top of that, already added quality boxing, added quality to a regular boxing show.
I think we need to do more of what we're doing now. We have, and I know we got a little sidetracked with COVID, but we have actually started this conversation. When I came in 2019 in March, it was pretty, you know, the amateur, I know in the US, we were pretty much like, the amateurs did their thing, pros did their things. Once they came out of our program, they became pros, and they didn't really come back. Nobody really reached out to them. Now I see more of the cross-pollination, in the sense of we're communicating better, you know, just like we're talking right now. And you guys have done an excellent job having the champions come to some of the amateur events. And I think that's, as we do more of that, and we start to get more and more involved together, I think you're gonna still have your pros, you're gonna still have your amateurs, but as we communicate better, I think it'll help the amateur program grow. We're doing more of what we're doing now. I know we got a little sidetracked with this COVID-19, but I think we'll pick right back up on an international level. I think we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with the whole 𝗧𝗓𝗡 situation, because, you know, 𝗧𝗓𝗡's, I actually went to the event that they had, the forum in Panama in January, just to see with my own eyes. It's one thing to hear about it. It's one thing to go and actually look and see if the changes that they said that they're making are going to be made. And I think they were making them, but they still have a long way to go. I think before they're able, if ever, to be in the position that they were before. And that's just my take on it. You know, I think we're moving in the right direction. I think we need to get to this Olympics. The US, we don't support professionals in the Olympics either. We take the same stance that we echo what you've been saying already. So I mean, it's going to continue to be a process. I think the physicals and things will probably be done differently until we get a vaccine for this. There's going to be some things that are going to happen that we're going to have to incorporate that we haven't even discussed yet. So, but you know, as long as we keep doing what we're doing, keeping everyone motivated, working as a team, I think we'll continue to move in a positive direction.
Malte?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And from a European perspective, I mean, the things we started, the tournaments we're doing, I mean, we see the effects of that, and we see how much this is needed, and how much the fighters, the coaches, the gyms, they ask for that, and they ask for our help. Here in Germany, the German Amateur Boxing Federation is tied very closely to, or has always been tied very closely to 𝗧𝗓𝗨 and to the old 𝗧𝗓𝗨 administration. And lots of people were calling for help and were reaching out to us and saying, please do something. So we were very happy when we could start the WBC amateur tournaments. And I think in the next step, and that adds up to what Tyson just said, thinking on the international level, I think we have to do more of what we started with the WBC, just work together. You know, see that we get these kids the chance to travel, to do international fights. You know, why not? I mean, we have the infrastructure, we have all the people here from different places in the world. Let's try it. Let's do it. Let's keep continuing on that way, just to give them these perspectives that we can. And I mean, I share all the experiences that you talked about. Just seeing the love for the sport, the passion in the eyes of these kids. And if we can offer them more and can organize trips where they go to different countries, different places, give them the chance to see that, to experience that, it's just great. And so I would say, let's work closely together and see that we organize international tournaments, international events for them.
Transparency. Transparency is so important in communication, and particularly before Claressa Shields came out and became an Olympic champion and then our champion, the amateurs are one of the only places the women really got their experience in fighting. Some of them never were able to go beyond that point. So it's because there simply were not enough pro fights for women. So, I mean, it's very important also, particularly important and romantically to the women boxers, that we keep going and we make a fair playing field and keep everything moving the way it is. But I think that the fact that everyone is openly talking about all these things, I mean, think about it. We won't even talk about it. 4 years ago, we were all on such opposite ends of the planet. Now we're talking, and the basic things about fairness and fixing what's broken. Nancy, you were going to say something?
Yeah, you know, I want to echo what Tyson said, because yeah, I think we are going the right direction. There's more shows. We have one a year, but you know, 𝗥𝗢𝗨𝗡 has the tournaments, they go year round, right?
Yes.
We need more green belt challenges. We need just keep doing them. One of the things that Mauricio said when we started the green belt challenge was he didn't want to charge anybody anything at all, because it's so it's an expensive sport to keep up. You know, imagine I remember a family of 5 at a show here. They charged them, I think it was $50 to go in. They turned around and they couldn't see their kid fight because they couldn't afford it. You know, they couldn't afford to go in and see their son fight. So that was one of the things, you know, not all the shows can be free, but particularly our Green Belt Challenge is free. The registration, the attendance, and I'll never forget last year, and Mauricio, you were there, Golden Boy streamed the fights live. Do you remember? And then after everything was over, their representative, Gabe, said, this is amazing. This is amazing. And next year we want to be more involved. And I know that we can't do it in June this year because of what's going on, but I really hope we don't cancel it. I really hope it's just postponed and we can, you know, somehow do it later this year, because it's such an important show for these kids. It means so much to them. So much.
But
that night, that last Green Belt Challenge that really caught my attention and my heart. One kid who participated a previous year, when he was driving on his bike from the gym going to his house, he got run over and killed. So we invited the family to be at this event, and we present them honor to his son, and it was a very emotional moment. And then I went out to make a phone call, And Nancy came running to get me, and she said, "You have to come and see this." So I ran inside, and there was a fight, and I was just, and she says, "Do you see something strange?" I said, "Yes. This kid was born without a arm, only to the elbow, okay? So he's fighting against a regular fighter with 2 hands, 2 fists, and this kid is fighting only with his left, and the other one just moves a little bit to protect, but it's not a real arm." And he wins the fight, and he wins the 2 fights and wins the tournament. So we gathered together, Pepe, Nancy, and I, and the whole team, and we said, we have to give something special. So we called the family of the kid who died into the ring, and we called this kid with 1 arm into the ring, and we created the yearly trophy of courage under the name. Do you remember the name of the kid? I'm sorry, I don't. We have the name of the trophy. So we present the belt under the name of the kid who died to the courageous fighter of the tournament. And it was so emotional. People crying everywhere. And this is
remember Regis, Mikey Garcia, all these champions was right next to you, so impressed.
Yes, it's a special moment, and I just cannot thank enough the WBC LA team, Rudy Tellez, USA Boxing, that how they participate, the sheriff office, the authorities, and the sponsors. You know, they sponsor shirts or water or anything to make this possible, and it's just sensational. It's great.
It is. It's quite amazing.
But
When all elements come together like that. And now we're going to have a special thing that when we all get going again, we're going to crown, because Bert has now also picked it up and doing green belt tournaments. And we're going to crown a USA WBC amateur champion.
Yes.
From the winners of all of the green belt champions, from the LA tournament, from the Phoenix tournament, from all the other little ones that we do. And it's going to be an amazing moment.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. I mean, ultimately, what we'd like to have, and I know Mauricio, you and I have talked about this several times, and we had started the conversation this year where Michelle was going to come out and meet with Mike, and we're going to start working this out to where we actually have the Green Belt Amateur League for the U.S. with just like Golden Gloves has their franchises, the Green Belt can start having their franchises. So that's something that that's where we want to get to ultimately.
So there's a lot.
I may say something, Jill and Mauricio. I would like Mauricio. I'm not taking over. I swear, I'm not hosting. But I would like Mauricio or Pepe to tell us about what his father said. But the first Green Belt Challenge, we always have a quote. We always have a quote, something to say with the annual thing. And the first year, it was keeping his dream alive. You know, keeping the Jose's dream alive.
I remember the t-shirts.
But that dream has become our dream, their dream. It's everybody's dream. So why was it your father's dream, Mauricio or Pepe?
Pepe.
Yeah, my father lived boxing. He went every step of the ladder. He witnessed and suffered. So he had a very special vision of what boxing is, of what a boxer goes through. So he just devoted his life to bringing out, the boxing from the obscurity of how things were handled before. So he wanted to give them dignity, give them equality, give them safety, most of all, because there wasn't any nobody cared about the boxer. Everybody cared about the business of boxing, and he created all these rules to prevent things. You cannot take punches away from the sport because that's the sport, but there's many things that you can do around it. So my father, his dream was to make it as safe as possible, as equal as possible, and that was something that we have carried on or tried to keep supporting and implementing, and because that was his dream was to have like a perfect world, you know, where nobody is hurt and everybody has the time of glory, of satisfaction, of fame, even of fame, and that was so we are, you know, trying to do our best to get where he was trying to accomplish.
It's beautiful. By the way, Tyson, did you get hit by the tornadoes and everything the other night? Your family is okay?
I mean, no, we were safe. I mean, it was really dark and we didn't know it was tornado weather, and they were hitting in Mississippi close to us, but none hit here. So we were very fortunate. Very fortunate.
So any last words? I hate to say it like that, but does anybody have anything that they want to say to
Jill,
sum up? I see this as the beginning. This is a beautiful beginning in communication
Jill,
about a very complicated global subject, but we will win. So any last words?
Jill,
Victor,
I would like to.
Victor.
Yeah, Bert wants to say something.
I've got to shout out these boxers that have come into these tournaments that, you know, we've got 14 boxers across last year and this year that have won green belts. And it would, you know, I would not be the same Bert if I didn't shout these boxers out. So I've got Ruben Soto is one of the boxers that won in the Pee Wee division. Kenneth Burrows out of the Pee Wee division. The Bantam division was Andrew Madison and Amalolo Lavera. And then in the intermediate division was Jonathan Torino and Luis Marquez. And then junior division was Carlos De Leon and Jason Jr. Youth division was Maurice Paticho. And then the elite division was Derek Jackson and Dante Concepcion. And then female boxers, we had Faith Mendez and Madeline Hernandez. And we have one master boxer that actually have won the green belts through last year and this year tournaments leading into this next 2020, hopefully national championship. All of them, along with new ones, will be competing. But this is exciting for them. And what you guys, we just want to thank you. We want to thank the entire WBC partnership from Mauricio all the way down to Victor, to Nancy, to, you know, to Pepe, to everyone that's getting involved. We want to thank USA Boxing, because through our vision and what we've done and being able to partner with the administration there, we've been able to really accomplish a lot of feats and a lot of things. And I still say we've got to make amateur boxing sexy. It's got to get to where it's streaming, and that's going to be major streaming and get it onto television, because that's where these kids ultimately want to see themselves. If it goes back to where I was sitting at home when I was younger and watching Sugar Ray Leonard in the Olympics and prior to the Olympics, right after cartoons on Saturday morning. So I think we've got to, and this is doing great for what amateur boxing in the direction it's going to be. It's going to be better once we open back up. So I really do think this was a great call, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bert. We love you.
From Canada's perspective, you know, again, we're thrilled to be part of this panel. It's wonderful what the WBC is doing, especially at a time when there is no boxing on the road right now. By having these WBC talks, keeps the sport top of everyone's mind, which is important. We will have a WBC belt event in Canada. We're going to probably start with Canada only, but Tyson, it'd be great if we did a dual green belt tournament back and forth, one in Canada, one in USA, WBC. I think branding is very important. And Bert, you said something very, very, very important, and that is getting amateur boxing's attention from the TV networks like there was years ago. And I think the only way that's going to do that is by having that proper brand. And I think the WBC is the brand that is going to help amateur boxing in a difficult time.
Well, I think the grassroots movement in boxing is green. That's all I can say.
Well, thank you guys
No.
for having us. I want to say thank you as well.
Oh,
You know, we
are so-
really appreciate what you've done and what you're doing. And let the lines of communication open and continue working together. And I think we're gonna do some great things here as a group.
we are so pleased, so very pleased to have you all. So all I can say is, in this world, we are all amateurs, relearning everything that used to come natural. So keep learning, keep growing, stay home, stay safe, stay loved. Mauricio?
All right, guys.
God
God
bless.
bless.
God bless.
I just wanna let you know that
we are in your corner.
We are in your corner.
Bill, before we go, I just want to let you know that there's people watching in Brazil, UK, Mexico, Spain, Germany, USA, Costa Rica, Spain, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Algeria, Argentina. It's amazing how many people is following us. I just want to thank Stephen Blair, Sulem Urbina, Marta Salazar, Karim Singh, Gayan Danayaya, Marianne Lurie, Jeff Heath, Monica Acuña, Patrick Schmidt, Hector Islas, Jay Jones. There's people from South Africa asking how can they get involved in the WBC amateur tournaments because they don't want to go any other way. And I just want to thank you because it's amazing how many people is watching, how many people wants to join. If we cross all those paths, it's going to be amazing. The work here is just amazing. I saw Julian Jackson bringing an amateur team from Virgin Islands.
Yep.
It's so amazing. And I really want to thank you because I think the amateur boxing is in good hands and it's healthy after all.
Jill, I want to say something really quick. Last year, we changed our medals from the 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗 ones. We changed them, and I think it's appropriate to say it, you know, with everything that's going on right now. The medal said the dream continues, and the dream continues because of each one of you. USA Boxing, Multi, Pat, Sugarbird, Mauricio, Victor, Jill, Pepe. It continues because of our amateur boxers, their parents, the gyms. There's so many volunteers that are giving their time to gyms to teach these children. The dream continues because we're all a community. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And from the WBC LA office, we can't wait for this to be over and go visit our local gyms and with Ceci, Pepe, and myself.
That thing we can all agree on.
But before we go, Mauricio, tomorrow we're going to have round 17 and on Friday 18. It's going to be very special. Do you want to talk about?
Yes. Tomorrow we have a one-on-one session. It's between juniors, between sons or daughters of greats. So tomorrow we have Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Leila Ali in English. And then on Friday, we're going to have Mike Tyson one-on-one. And then we're going to have in the afternoon, first Scholas, the Pope Foundation program. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of days. And you are welcome to watch, tune in, and help us continue living the dream.
We will live the dream with you, Mauricio.
Take care.
Thank you very much. That was round number 16.
Big hug. Big hug.
The wave.
Wow.
I missed the Dodgers because I missed the wave. So let's do it here. There we go.